Hey, Monex Ridge Eagles. I wanted to show you one of my cats. This is Yuki. She does not like being held very much, so I'm going to let her go. I actually have three cats and a dog. My cats' names are Yuki and Yeti and Yar, and our dog's name is Singa. Uh, I love pets, and so the Guinea Dog is really fun for me, and I'm loving sharing that. I'd love to hear about your pets if you have any, and maybe even see some pictures. So, today we are reading chapters 11 and 12 of Guinea Dog. We left off where they were looking for this mysterious pet shop named Petopia that they couldn't find, and Fido somehow ended up in Rufus's backpack. So let's find out what happens at school with Rufus. Chapter 11. Here's why you should never keep a rodent in your backpack at school all day. It will pee. It will poop. It will pee again. It will poop again. The pee and poop will ruin whatever you keep in your backpack, especially your sack lunch. If anyone finds out it's in there, you will get busted and humiliated in front of everybody. Worrying about this all could give you a heart attack. I had to figure out a way to get Fido out of the school. I considered calling Dad and having him come and pick her up, but interrupting his work seemed worse than having a guinea pig at school. I considered acting sick and getting sent home, but I worried Fido might start making noise while I was in the nurse's office, especially if the nurse made me say, "ah," or something, and Fido thought she was hurting me. Too risky. And then I had an idea that seemed like it just might work, which sounds incredible, I know. In fact, the biggest thing going against it was that I thought of it. I carefully stood up, pulled on my backpack, and walked toward Ms. Sharp's desk. "Yes, Rufus," she said, looking up. "What is it? I'm about to begin class." "I have to—" I looked around, then leaned forward and whispered, "Go to the bathroom." "Couldn't you have gone before the bell, Rufus?" Ms. Sharp said a bit sternly. I shrugged. I didn't have to then." "Fine. Okay. Take a pass, and please hurry." I leaned closer. "I don't think this will be a hurry kind of trip," I whispered. She stiffened in her chair. "Well, then, you had better get going, hadn't you?" I nodded and walked away. "Oh, and Rufus," she said. I stopped and looked back, trying to hide my smugness. You see, I was hoping she would stop me. "Why don't you—" "Oh, hang up my backpack while I'm out," I said. "Precisely what I was thinking." And off I went. I grabbed a bathroom pass, but I passed the bathroom. I didn't need to go. Lie number 1. I then passed my locker, lie number 2, and left the building through the east doors, lie number 3, considering that's what I intended to do all along. Once I was outside, however, I had come to the end of my brilliant plan. The plan was, pretend you're going to the bathroom, but instead take Fido out of the building. I didn't think about what to do with her after that. I saw then that I probably didn't have a bright future as a criminal mastermind. I leaned back against the closed door, trying to stay out of sight of anyone inside or outside of the school. And that's when I noticed the little groundskeeping shed. It had some green bushes around it. Eureka! I thought, and my plan lurched ahead to phase 2. I looked from side to side, tried to imagine some cool spy music in my head, but was only able to bring up the theme to Fairly Odd Parents, then ran in a crouch across the grass to the shed. When I got there, I ditched my bag under the bush and whispered, "Stay quiet," to Fido, who had started to screech, and then I took off running when it hit me. Lunch! I went back, pulled the bag out from under the bush, unzipped it, removed my sack lunch, and, good thinking here, my homework, whispered again, "Stay quiet," to Fido, then zipped the bag, tossed it back under the bush, and took off running again. When another thought hit me. Lunch. This time, Fido's. Again I went back, pulled the bag out from under the bush, and unzipped it. I opened my sack lunch, took out the turkey sandwich Dad made me, pulled out the lettuce, and dropped it into the backpack. Fido started chirping happily. "Quiet! I mean it!" I hissed. She got quiet. I tossed the backpack back under the bush again and took off running again toward the building and ran straight into Murph. Wham! "Whoa, Roof! What are you doing out here, dude?" he asked as we picked ourselves up off the ground. I thinking fast for numbskulls. "Where were you?" "You're late," he asked with a laugh. "Without me? I'm not sure that's okay with me." "That's it," I said. "I'm late, 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 late. Boy, am I late." He laughed. "Guess we better get in there and get our tardy slips then, Mr. Late Guy." Oops. But I wasn't really late. In fact, was I? I'd already been to class, in fact, hadn't I? I had a bathroom pass, in fact, didn't I? Now I was really in a mess, in fact, wasn't I? "No hurry," I said. "We're already late. We can't be double late." Murph laughed again. "Attaboy, Roof. That's the spirit. Still not much to do out here, is there? Might as well get to class. Am I right?" He was right. The thing to do was follow him. As long as I stuck with Murph, nothing bad could happen to me, because as long as I stuck with him, no one would pay any attention to me. "Lead on, Mr. Malloy," I said. For a guy who never came up with many bright ideas, I was coming up with an awful lot of them, which worried me. As I hoped, no one noticed me in the office when we picked up our tardy slips. I jammed mine in my pocket, and no one noticed me when we walked through the door to the class. All eyes were on Murphy, as usual. I handed Miss Sharp back the bathroom pass, which, if he even noticed, Murph probably figured it was my tardy slip. Then I snuck away quietly to my seat. I was pretty darn proud of myself. All had gone according to plan. I had gotten myself out of a pretty sticky situation and into another one. Chapter 12. Recess is a joke. The adults at school think it's their big gift to us, a time for us to go outdoors and relax and have fun with our friends. Yeah, right. Recess basically lasts the time it takes for a group of school kids to run outside, agree on something fun to do, get started doing it, then have to turn around and go back in. If you're going to have any fun, you've got to be smart, prepared, and organized. Here are some tips. Do the same activity every day, less time wasting choosing. Pick an activity that requires little or no equipment, less time spent gathering stuff. If it's a team activity, like a sport or game, which for guys it usually is, pick teams when time's not so crucial, like during class. Continue the same game the whole school week so you can come close to kind of finishing maybe a quarter of one by Friday. Make everybody, except Murphy, swear to play every day, otherwise it screws everything up. You can't trust Murphy even if he does swear, so why bother? Some girl walks up and he's bye-bye. Keep playing till one of the recess teachers, they're really just aides and kitchen ladies and stuff, comes over and tells you personally to go inside. You have earned those extra seconds. They are yours. Fight for them. Anyway, me and some guys had planned a soccer game the day I hid Fido in the bush, so when the bell for recess rang, we stormed the ball field. We would have jumped right into it, but a couple of guys were out sick and they were on the same team. That meant some trading, which ate up a minute or two, which at recess is like an eon. Finally, the game started, and we were all running around breathing fresh air and actually using our bodies when this little orange furball streaked across the field, and everybody stopped and pointed and laughed and said, "What was that?" It was Fido, of course. Here's how she probably got loose. I forgot to zip my backpack. It was pretty clear what she was doing out there, and it wasn't trying to kick a field goal. She was looking for yours truly, and she spotted him, and she made a beeline for him, and she was making some pretty good time as she cut a path across the field, let me tell you. I mean, the guys' mouths were all hanging open. Well, that's not so odd, but believe me, they were amazed. "It's a guinea pig?" one of the brighter minds of my generation said. "No, no, it's a woodchuck," said one of the dimmer ones. Once again, I was going to have to come up with some big, fat, believable lie or else, and Fido's surprising speed was rushing me, which I did not appreciate. It was no surprise that in the end I thought of nothing at all clever or helpful to do or say. I simply turned and ran away. This is my second main strategy after stalling when facing sticky situations: bolting. Fido let out a bark. Yeah, a bark, a teeny tiny little bark, but it was a bark. Then she kicked into high gear after me. That's right, she had a higher gear. It was ridiculous. The pet store must have been giving its rodents steroids. I heard the guys behind me laughing their heads off. "Huh, look at the fat rat go!" one screamed. "It's following Roof!" one hollered. I ran from the field to the basketball court, and the basketball playing guys followed the soccer playing guys, who followed Fido, who followed me, and I shouted, "Run, run! Fast as you can! You can't catch me! I'm the—" Where was the bell? It should have rung eons ago. And through the playground I ran, and all the children stopped their play to watch and smiled with glee. And they joined in the parade, and I scanned the skies for giant inflatable cartoon characters, but it was the wrong city, the wrong month, and the wrong parade for that. This was the first annual Rustbury Spring Recess Parade with Grand Marshal Fido and starring Rufus the Clown. Finally, once every kid at school got a good look at my crazy hyperspeed punk guinea pig chasing me around the school grounds, the bell rang. I don't think anyone ever looked into it, but I'm pretty sure it was the longest 15-minute elementary school recess in American history. The bell had its usual effect. Everybody stopped what they were doing and started shuffling toward the building. I seized the moment and ducked behind a bush. Fido followed me. I picked her up. She was panting heavily, but overall she seemed happy. She licked my face. I hissed and showed her my fangs. She whimpered. "Back in the bag with you," I said. I dashed from the bush to bush until I was back at the one with my backpack under it. As I suspected, it was unzipped. Did I leave it that way, or did Fido know how to unzip? After all, she knew how to do a lot of really strange things. I put her inside and zippered the bag shut. "Stay," I said. She whined. "Quiet," I added. She stopped whining. I didn't trust that she wouldn't get out again somehow. I considered putting big rocks on the zippered end of the bag, but there weren't any big rocks handy, wouldn't you know it? I thought I could lock the zippers together through the little holes if the zip in the zipper pulls, but I didn't have a lock. The backpack came with a little one with a tiny key, but who knows where that went? Then I got the brilliant idea to tie them together. But I didn't have anything to tie them with until I looked down and, duh, I saw my shoes. I pulled the laces out of my left one and threaded it through the eyes of the zipper pulls and tied a good tight knot. Then I put the bag under the bush and took a really deep breath because I hadn't breathed for a while. Then I ran back to class. Murphy was entertaining everybody with a reenactment of the first annual Rustbury Spring Recess Parade. He played me and used Shireen's poofy orange hat with the chin straps as Fido. He ran around the room dragging the hat behind him, and everybody cracked up. When he saw me, he let go of Shireen's hat and went into this whole mock excited and honored routine, saying, "And here he is now, Rufus, the boy who outran a weird rodent thing. Put your hands together for him." Everybody snickered and clapped. Then Miss Sharp walked in behind me, and they all knocked it off. "Seats, please," she said, glaring at everyone. "I could hear you all the way from the staff lounge, for your information." I slunk over to my desk. Dimitri scooted his desk over an inch. Lorena, in front of me, turned around. "Of all the kids on the playground, why did she choose you, Rufus?" she said. I shrugged. "What makes you think it was a she?"